Hello, I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to Bred to Win. Coming to you after a big day of selling at the Inglis Ready to Race sale at Riverside in Sydney. Coming up, we review a huge day of racing, Tab Everest Day at Randwick and the Caulfield Cup in Melbourne. And feature a $500,000 son of Arrowfield Studs champion colt, the Autumn Sun, and what it means to the vendor when they achieve a successful result. And continuing our look at staff training in Australia, the work of Thoroughbred Breeders New South Wales Executive Officer Julianne Christopher, working with Racing New South Wales and government bodies to achieve some great staffing outcomes that are happy to be shared with other states. And Derby Racing's Lauren Wadsworth in Arrowfield Studs, horse who made you love racing. First, so much excitement to cover in our Oz Horse News. The Australian racing and breeding world was shocked to see the level of flood devastation in Victoria and Tasmania in the past week, with several farms requiring assistance to move hundreds of stallions, mares and foals, including the huge Yulong farm operation near Nagambie in Victoria. Thoroughbred Breeders Australia was on hand to provide assistance, and for anyone struggling with the trauma of coping with the flooding, their stud and stable counselling is available to everyone.
When we're ready to go, the gates are back, they're off and racing.
The 2022 Tab Everest continued the rapid rise of a new age of racing, with exciting new stories combining with some old school pedigrees and hugely successful breeders to create the next chapter of the world's most valuable race on turf.
Nature Strip a length in front, Private Eye, Giga Kick!
The unbeaten Giga Kick, already the winner of the Danehill and the Vane Stakes, beat off a tough field of the world's best sprinters, despite the fact he hadn't actually turned 3 with his birthday today. Trained by talented young Victorian Clayton Douglas and ridden by Craig Williams in theatrical style, Giga Kick raced in the James Harron slot. Both the gelding and his sire Scissor Kick, bred by renowned breeder Jonathan Munns. The Everest winner's imported dam rekindled applause, is a half-sister to Dato Tan Chin Nam Stakes winner rekindled interest, and it's the family of Yulong Farms All Stakes winning stallion Alabama Express. A Golden Rose runner-up by Redout's Choice from Backpass, Scissor Kick stood at Arrowfield Stud for 4 seasons before remaining in France and more recently being sold to stand at stud as a sport horse stallion. He won the up-and-coming and the Eskimo Prince Stakes and the Rosebud at 3. Magnus sired this year's $2 million Kosciuszko winner Front Page, with the homebred for the Durayas a close relation to the unbeaten champion Black Caviar. The 6-year-old dam is by Bella Spree, while Magnus, who now stands at Widden Stud's Victorian base, is a son of Black Caviar's grandmother, the wonderful producer Scandinavia.
Hope in Your Heart goes up on the outside, up the inside is Fine Point.
Arrowfield Stud Stallions had a great day, in particular at Randwick and Caulfield. Dundeal's Hope in Your Heart won the Group 3 Anx Quality, while at Caulfield, Shalar's Quang Tree won the first, Morris's St Bathans the second, and Schnitzel's Sandpaper the listed Gothic Stakes. Hope in Your Heart is from a Montjeu mare, meaning Sadler's Wells appears twice in the third line of her pedigree, while Arrowfield also celebrated Mazu's third in the Everest, as well as breeding the dam of the runner-up Private Eye.
Gold Trip up to Numerian Knight's Order, and then came Durston getting out.
One of the traditional features of spring racing, the Caulfield Cup went the way of the imported Durston for the Chris Waller team on the 30th anniversary of Harry Herbert's Highclere syndications. Originally a 52,000 guineas buy from the 2017 Tattersalls October yearling sale by Blandford Bloodstock, he was on-sold to Highclere after his 2-year-old season. See the Moon was an 11-length German Derby winner by Galileo's half-brother See the Stars, who himself sired recent superstar retirees Baid and Stradivarius. See the Moon stands at Lanwade Stud in Newmarket, breeder of last week's Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe winner Alpinista. Caulfield's major 3-year-old features and the Moonga Stakes went the way of New Zealand-bred horses, with Savabill's Mr Maestro taking out the Caulfield Classic, a traditional Victoria Derby lead-up. Renaissance Woman by Reliable Man took out one of the Oaks lead-ups, the Ethereal Stakes, while Sacred Falls, former New Zealand 2000 Guineas and Hobartville Stakes winner Aegon won the Group 3 Moonga Stakes. And in New Zealand, their Group 1 feature, the Livermore Classic, it was an Encosta de Lago stallion Vanbrugh, a former Spring Champion Stakes winner who sired the winner Mustang Valley. The mare is from the family of Might and Power, while Vanbrugh stands at Windsor Park Stud at a fee of only $6,000 NZ.
Madame Pomeroy streaking to the line, won the 1,000 guineas.
Madame Pomeroy's win in the 1,000 guineas on Wednesday was a great result for a group of women owners pulled together by Chris Waller's wonderful Sophie Baker. The filly was bought by Waller and Guy Mulcaster for $150,000 at last year's Magic Millions yearling sale. She was the first Group 1 success for her Scat Daddy sire, Cornwall Stud's No Nay Never.
$7.25 for the star of the show.
We'll look more closely at one of the top lots at the Inglis Ready to Race sale shortly, but the top seller was the done deal Lady Moora colt, sold for $750,000 by Dean Harvey's Baystone Farm to Kieran Ma Bloodstock. The colt breezed in a time of 10.69 seconds and is from a full sister to Beneteau from the family of Alinghi. Second top lot was a colt by Deepfield from Alderney, sold by Nolan Racing for $550,000. He recorded a gallop time of 10.1 seconds and is out of a High Chaparral half-sister to Ballet Suite. The Inglis Graduate of the Week was a $22,000 Inglis Scone Sale graduate who won the $2 million Everest Consolation, the Group 3 Sydney Stakes. Rocketing By was bred by Sedgenho Stud and is by last season's runner-up in the Champion Australian Sire title, So You Think. His Dam Across the Moon is by Golden Slipper winner Stratum from Cloister, making her a three-quarter sister to dual Group 1 winner Melito. Rocketing By was sold by Verna Metcalf's Middlebrook Valley Lodge to trainer David Pfeiffer and Ferguson Bloodstock. So You Think stands this season at Cornwall Stud at a fee of $93,500. While the top sellers at all thoroughbred sales have their own stories, it's interesting to delve deeper into the background of the horses themselves, the breeders and the vendors. Here we feature a glorious son of the Autumn Sun who sold for $500,000 as the son of Redute's Choice has his first 2-year-olds hitting the track this season.
Dennis Chan, thank you Dennis, 500 the money.
John, congratulations on a great result here at the Inglis Ready to Race sale. $500,000 for a 2-year-old by the Autumn Sun. That's wonderful, having bought him for $200,000 as a yearling.
Yeah, no, it definitely exceeded our expectations. Been pretty exciting. So, sort of, I guess we'll probably have it sink in a little bit more at the end of the day when we have a moment to sit down and reflect on the day.
It's a really interesting thing watching these horses and the care that, you know, Taylor, who's been his groom, how much she loves him. Sarah Devich, you know, leading him and, you know, he had something about him, didn't he? Everyone seems to love this colt.
He's the most enjoyable horse to have around. He's just a big cuddly teddy bear as such. Yeah, like Taylor and him they've had a big close bond for quite some time, and I know she's gotten a bit emotional about selling him, so. Yeah.
We actually filmed him at Pencaro Stud as part of our NZB yearling sale preview. You know, he had something back then. And of course, the Vellas and Leon Casey and everyone at Pencaro are so proud of him, being from that ethereal family through a great line that's done so well with the Redute's Choice Cross.
I loved him on farm when I saw him on farm, and then looked at him at the sale again. I just thought he was going to be well out of my budget, and was pretty surprised to sort of get him, really.
You know, preparing him for this sale, there are obviously a range of these sort of 2-year-old sales. What made you bring him across to Australia for the Inglis sale?
Oh, we just enjoy selling with the guys here. They do such a good job of trying to get the buyers here. They just make it an enjoyable process, and it's nice to actually be here this year with the horses as well. We had a great sale last year, so I guess that was a big factor in us coming back as well.
And he's gone to Dennis Chen, so he's going to Hong Kong, bought for a trainer up there. He's obviously going to trial in Australia, and that's really great that, you know, we get to see a bit of him before he heads up there.
Exactly, yeah. So I actually haven't managed to catch up with Dennis yet. Hopefully catch up with him for a drink later on and find out a bit more what the plans are with him.
He's just the type, he's the horse of the sale. And the staying side is that what attract me, you know. And all good things I heard of Autumn Sun is from every trainer. They have nothing negative about him. I have to have one.
Well, he was a champion colt. We know he was one of those elite racehorses. And the dam side of this colt obviously goes back to Ethereal, the Caulfield Melbourne Cup winner, and her family's worked so well with that Redute's Choice line. So how much of it for you is pedigree? How much was the individual?
I would say a 50-50. And also the main reason I bought her, I bought him, is because it's the Hong Kong Jockey Club policy. Now that all the staying race, the prize money has jacked up for another extra 25%. It's just no-brainer to buy, you know, staying type for Hong Kong.
What happens now for this horse? Will he stay in Australia? Will you get, as soon as you can, get him to Hong Kong? Because he is obviously two already.
Yes, he'll stay in Australia for a trial, and then we'll see how things goes. And
What attracts you to this sale? Is it the fact that there are those pedigrees in the sale?
definitely, and the success rate, the horses that come out of this sale, just phenomenal results. That's the main reason I buy from here.
From Shelton side with a course over from New Zealand. They do an outstanding job.
Tell me, like those moments, you know, when you're going in the vendor's box. I mean, it must be quite nerve-wracking for you, you know, as a vendor with so much at stake with a beautiful colt like that. Tell us what you're sort of feeling as you're kind of getting up the steps to look at the horse and in the ring, and you're trying to see who's bidding. It's quite a full-on process.
Yeah, it's sort of, it's a funny feeling. It's sort of, I don't know, you're going in there with an expectation and you're just hoping that there's someone there to get to it, and when it goes past where you're expecting the horse to get, you know, that's sort of, it becomes a little bit emotional. I know that Taylor got pretty worked up about it. She had a few tears afterwards. So when the bidding opened at 200, it was, yeah, unbelievable.
And I guess you get a feel, obviously, the amount of people that have come and looked at him. He's been in and out a lot, but even just in the minutes before he was going up to the ring, I know Dennis and his team were down there, and people really want that last minute look. How important is that to sell a horse, not just on what they've already looked at, like the, you know, pedigree and type and everything, but that emotional connection? It matters, doesn't it?
Oh, 100% it does. And he's just been so popular all week here. He's been in and out of the boxes so many times, and he's had big X-ray hits all week as well. Yeah, it's interesting, you know, seeing the guys. Even he can be out parading for someone else, and you get the likes of Dennis, who he was out for a parade, and Dennis came and started taking a few videos and photos prior to the sale. And I guess it becomes an emotional attachment for those guys as well. And the more they see the horse out, you know, a horse like him, it sort of sticks in the back of your mind, and you see him out and catches the eye, and it's easy to get back over and have another bit of a glimpse.
And the beauty of it is that, you know, the way Hong Kong racing is, you'll be able to follow him so easily and watch every start, and hopefully maybe one day he'll come back.
Exactly. It's going to be good fun watching his career and seeing where he goes. So we'll be watching with interest, and especially while he's here in Australia as well.
Our G1 Goldmine focus this week is on Lot 58, the $500,000 colt by the Autumn Sun from Sopra Fina, a High Chaparral winner of 3 of her 5 race starts, and from Sopra Tuto, a daughter of Caulfield and Melbourne Cup heroine Ethereal, who's thrown 2 group winners, Eleonora and Sapira. This pedigree can throw up huge versatility, with successes ranging from a distance of 1,000 metres to 2,800 metres. However, the family seems to excel around a mile. While this colt's only from the first crop of the champion, the Autumn Sun, his sire, the champion stallion Redute's Choice, and his breed-shaping sire Danehill have a strong nick with High Chaparral. The G1 Goldmine rating for the pedigree of this $500,000 colt is excellent. Stakes winners with a similar pedigree to this 2020 match include Tasmanian and SA Stakes winner Global Balance, European stars such as Peeping Fawn and Horatio Nelson, English St Ledger winner Simple Verse, and Pretty Polly Stakes winner Diamonds and Rubies. No matter how long you've been in the thoroughbred industry, there's always more to learn. And for newcomers, I hope you learnt plenty from John Malcolm and his experience of taking a $500,000 yearling through the Inglis sales ring. Coming up, the Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week, and Thoroughbred Breeders New South Wales tackling the problem of staffing in the breeding industry.
It's his day-to-day, Stockman, and he goes on to win the St Leger Stakes.
The Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week once again involves their late great son of Montshire, Tavistock, with 2 group winners in the week. Stockman is now heading for the Melbourne Cup for Joe Pride after taking out the time-honoured ATC St Leger at Randwick. He's from the dual group winning Zabeel mare Crimson and was bred and sold by Cambridge Stud founders Sir Patrick and Lady Hogan for $175,000 at the NZB yearling sale. Tavistock also sired this year's Coonji Cup winner Gunstock, who's also bred on the same successful Zabeel cross through his dam Zaranti. Gunstock was bred and sold by Brendan and Joe Lindsay and was originally an $80,000 NZB yearling before being on-sold by Hookia Lodge at the 2020 Inglis Ready to Race sale for $135,000 to Import Racing. For the past few months, we've been featuring the great work being done in Australia to address the lack of staff in the breeding industry. And one organisation that's doing a particularly good job is Thoroughbred Breeders New South Wales, spearheaded by Executive Officer Julianne Christopher, developing some great relationships with Racing New South Wales and government bodies that benefit breeders around Australia. Julianne, we've worked closely for a long time now with Thoroughbred Breeders New South Wales. From your point of view as Executive Officer, it's not a new thing that we're talking about staff training, is it? But some of the work you've been able to do to get some courses off the ground have been so successful.
They have. We've done a lot of work, and our project is now into, or closing into its phase 2. So from 2020 to 2025, there's a lot of work being done, and I'm just so excited with what we've achieved so far and the breadth that it's taken. So I'm quite excited to keep going and talk about where it is now.
And you really look at it in terms of attracting people to the industry, training them while they're there, and then of course you've got to retain them. You want to make sure that they stay in the industry. So some of the work that you've been doing, people don't realise how many students have already gone through these courses.
That's right. So we've put, I think the numbers, they keep going up and up as we get past each month, but we're up around the 600 mark of people that have received free training or been put into traineeships of some kind. So our entire pathway system that we have is for everybody. So it's from the new entrant all the way up to the stud manager themselves.
Well, looking at the attracting part, and this is something I know I've said, I know a lot of people have thought for years, is getting school kids involved. I mean, you really need to be working with the schools and the Thoroughly Schooled program. We saw Isabel out at Sedgenhoe Stud just doing some wonderful work with mares on a work experience period. But explain to people that, they might have kids of their own, they might be young kids watching this. What can they get out of the Thoroughly Schooled program?
So our Thoroughly Schooled program has been piloted last year. We've done a couple of rounds this year, and we've got a group of kids coming through now. So what it is, it's a real introductory experience, a discovery of the thoroughbred industry. So we have students come from across the state. They stay with host families in the Hunter Valley, and then we show them everything. They get a taste of everything from veterinary to racing, breeding. They get a half-day work experience, and they get to speak to people that work in the industry. Then they go home with a bundle of information and some great photos as well to take home back to their parents. But this time around, we're actually working on getting the parents in at the end of the program when they pick up their child to take them home, and even the career advisors themselves, so they can hear about the great time they've had. They get to see the highlights of the week. They'll hear from myself, and they'll also hear from Racing New South Wales representative as well about their pathways of where they can go when they leave school, and opportunities for while they're still at school. So they come out of the program with a whole world of experience about what this is all about in our industry, but they also get the opportunity to get part-time work while they're still at school or school holiday work. So the safety components that we do, running the inductions for breeding and racing, some basic skill sets around horses, a lot of focus on that safety component. It really sets them up and gets them excited about joining the industry, whether they're leaving school early or they leave at the end of year 12. And it follows right through into the great programs we have nationally. So the TIC program, Thoroughbred Industry Careers, and the Fast Track program. It just sets them up and gets them really, really excited about joining the industry from the get-go.
Well, what I really enjoyed about being here this week is definitely seeing a foal being born, definitely something I've always wanted to do, but also working next to the vets and seeing them operate with flushing or ultrasounds, just watching all that sort of stuff was the best thing in the world, I think. I would like to be an equine vet when I'm older, so I'm really trying to get good grades to try and get in there.
It's a really good farm. I think all the farms that are helping out are really keen to encourage young people into the industry. Is that what you found?
Yes, they are. They really want more people to work with them. The more the merrier, if anything. That's what I think anyway. It's very fun, but you still got to know they're still a wild animal. Anything can happen, but they're all lovely. What I learnt was basically where to stand around them, to know their safe zone and the danger zones, to watch out for their behaviours, if they're mad at you, if they're calm or anything like that, and a lot of grooming them to make them happy and calm and stuff. Yeah.
And the TAFE part of it, so explain what you actually do with your visit to the TAFE.
So what we did was we just learnt to muck out the stables, clean the horses, like brush them down, lunge them a little bit, just do a little bit of movement with them to be able to turn them the right way, to be able to stop them, and to be able to back them up the right way, just all stuff like that.
Then looking at the training of staff, I mean, this is something that really is going to stand the industry in great stead going forwards. This level of professionalism with the workforce traineeships, there are apprenticeships and internships, and these courses are nationally accredited. This is the other big thing. They are actual qualifications.
The accreditation is a really key element to our whole project. What we do is deliver courses into bite-sized pieces, so you can do a couple of units at a time and then you can build on that to get a full qualification, which is quite valuable to the individual. We talk to the farms a lot. We like to get a lot of industry engagement. We have a lot of stud managers meetings. During our leadership courses that we've run over 2 series now, we really try and talk to the staff as well and just try and find out what it is that they are looking for and aspiring to, what they feel that they need, and then we talk to the government and training services and departments of education about what type of skill sets can we throw into those units as well.
And we filmed a fantastic leadership training part of the course with John Arthur, and it was really interesting to see the depth of experience within that sort of cohort, because you had people that had been working on farms for years, or working, as Balfour as a farrier, people like that in the industry, and a lot of younger people as well. So explain a little bit about what is trying to be achieved there for those individuals and their employers.
So the idea is working on the 3 key elements: the attracting, which is the high school programs, and then the traineeships that come from those, and then the training component is about those leadership skill sets, and it's supporting both sides. So it's making sure that the farms and the people that are looking after those trainees can support them to bring them up and mentor them through their training period, and it also then helps in that retaining piece with keeping those people that are getting those qualifications. They feel more valued as an employee or a team member by doing these courses. So it's quite interesting for us to look at when we do these courses and seeing the feedback that's coming through, which is very positive so far. So that benchmark setting of certificate for horse breeding, for example, or even on the racing side, the training, it really does get them a sense of achievement, that they have succeeded, they've got to that level, and a piece of paper that says yes, they've done it.
And it's really important that, within the breeding, the racing industry, everything, that there is collaboration. And I know from a Thoroughbred Breeders New South Wales point of view, we're trying to run these programs in the biggest breeding state in Australia, but you're also, obviously, in the work you're doing, open to sharing that with other states. And it's also great to have the input of Racing New South Wales.
That's right, and the collaboration goes quite broadly. So even what Silverdale Farm's doing within their own property is a great incentive. So those sorts of programs and what we're doing is a real roadmap for others to have a look at. We're not saying that that's the ideal model that everybody needs to do, but that's what works here in this state, and we're happily sharing that information with the other states as they approach us, and with the national bodies as well. So we're quite excited about what the farms are doing and the support that they're showing towards the project. I think it's a key element for all of the collaboration from racing, breeding, state by state, and a national approach on marketing the industry to the general public as well is really a key element.
And so what would you say to a young person that's at school and thinking, oh gee, I really want to work with horses? What would you say about this course to them?
Definitely consider it. It's definitely a good opportunity to get out there, see new things. Like what it was for me, I didn't know a lot of this stuff, but now I do. So trying it out, even if you don't like it in the end, it's something good to experience and have at the back of your hand saying that you've done this. It's definitely a one-of-a-kind thing you can do.
More great work being done there, and while it will take time, the level of professionalism these courses are bringing to the breeding industry and our staff will certainly be of huge benefit in the long term. Coming up on Bred to Win, Lauren Wadsworth of Derby Racing with the champion racehorse who's become a leading sire in Arrowfield Studs, the horse who made you love racing.
Caroline, I was actually working in racing for a little while before I found that horse that really captured my heart, I guess. I was working for Gay Waterhouse Racing at the time, and she had Piero in the stable, and was very fortunate to be able to work with him as an animal. But seeing how he progressed on the racetrack, he was obviously the Triple Crown winner and a beautiful tempered horse at the same time. And it was very special, I guess, in watching that progression from a young horse through to a top line stallion, and winning at every level, I think, was what I loved. And nowadays at the yearling sales, we obviously get the advantage of watching all of his progeny coming through. This year we were fortunate enough to secure a gorgeous Piero Ruby Mill coat for the Derby Racing team, and to watch his bloodline thriving. They're obviously doing so well on the track now. That whole journey was really special to my involvement in racing.
He must have been a bit of an anomaly, because on his pedigree he should have been a stayer, but he was a champion 2-year-old, but now his offspring are winning derbies and oaks. He's quite an incredible stallion.
The interesting part was there was a lot of chatter at the time. Although he was a Triple Crown winner, everyone was talking about him being a real 3-year-old type and what he was going to progress into. And he did have that scope there, but he'd been so dynamic early days, and Gay, that is one of her biggest strengths, is obviously getting them out and rolling so soon to win Golden Slipper again and again. But now for him to translate into that more scopy type of horse is really impressive, and it makes you wonder, a horse placed in a different stable, what sort of targets do they actually achieve through their career? I think it was really credit to him as a horse. He gave it everything he had and really laid it out there on the track, and that's what made him a superstar.
That is Bred to Win for this week. Don't miss next week's show, the final episode of Bred to Win for the season, as we chat with Jamie Richards about buying horses for the tough Hong Kong racing scene and what goes into selecting the right yearlings for an English sale. That and much more next week. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.